Hello, I'm Dan Harris. Haven't been here for a while. You may remember me. I'm vaguely associated with 10% Happier. The past couple of days, I've been out house hunting because my family is with gritted teeth moving to the suburbs because the city is a tough place to be with a 5-year-old these days. So anyway, thank you for being cool with my absence. And I hear in my absence, so many teachers who've been taking over this show have done such a great job. And one of them is the mighty Susan Piver, who is, yes, there she is. Look at those pythons. That's the gun show. Forget it. It's not a meditation show. It's the gun show. And yeah, so Susan's our teacher du jour. As everybody knows, we do 5 minutes, although today we may do 7 or 8 minutes of meditation, and then we take your questions. Hi, Susan. And I know you want to talk today about having compassion for people who we want to punch in the face.
That's exactly right. That's exactly my chosen phrasing too. Yeah, there's so much to be angry about right now. And I've just been talking to a lot of people, one of whom is myself, who are saying things like, excuse me, how can I
should give you credit while you're having a sip of water there, that the phraseology of compassion for people who want to punch in the face is stolen directly from you. That was not some witticism on my end, but it's great. It's perfect.
Well, that's how it feels. And, there are people who want to punch in the face. There are people who I think are doing harmful things. It's not because I'm irritated by them. It's because I think they're hurting other people. And it makes me really angry. And so I say to myself, well, okay, Buddhist lady, what's up with compassion? And aren't you supposed to be nice to everyone and so on? So I've been writing a fair amount about compassion for your enemies. In fact, yeah, I've been writing about it for some time. The first time I ever wrote about it was when Osama bin Laden was killed. It produced so much vitriol in my world. There's something about compassion for our enemies that makes us very angry, which I understand. It's a very painful thing to think about. But anyway, the thing that is really useful, I find, about compassion for enemies is that it has nothing to do with being nice. And somehow we've conflated compassion and niceness. So if I was a compassionate person, I would like you, I wouldn't feel angry, I wouldn't want to punch you in the face and so on. But compassion and nice are not the same. They are not the same. Compassion and awake, however, are. Compassion is offering what is needed in the moment. And the way to know what is needed in the moment is by paying attention and being awake. And that's why mindfulness meditation is so closely connected to compassion. It's not a coincidence. So you don't have to like the person. In fact, you can judge them. You can hate them. You can be angry at them. You can want to punch them in the face, as we say. Why? Because that's how you feel. And you're a human being. However, there's only one thing you cannot do. And that is think that you are any different than them. That's where all the trouble comes from. So think about someone you hate. And for example, maybe they lie to a lot of people to get what they want. And okay, that's horrible. But then I ask myself, Susan Piver, have you ever done that? Have you ever lied to get what you want? And of course, it's a matter of degree, but my answer is I have. So whatever it is that you are angry about, which I'm sure you have quite a right to be angry about, a great place to start is by asking yourself, have I ever done that? And the answer is bound to be yes. And so that doesn't mean that you think, oh, well, then you're a cool person who's doing horrible thing. It just means we're not separate. And the us and them is the far enemy, as they say in the Buddhist world, of compassion is actually cruelty, is dehumanizing you. So as long as we could keep viewing others as human without having to like them, something remains open. And that something that remains open is everything.
All right, 2 things to say. 1, you're awesome. And 2, if you at home or wherever you are have questions about this tricky teaching, for Susan, because she's going to answer the questions. I'm not going to answer these questions. These are going to be good questions, and I won't be able to answer them. But send them in, and then we will ask Susan on the other side of this meditation. But let's do a little bit of meditation. I'll mute myself. It's all you, Maestro.
Okay, here we go. So before we sit, I want to say that the first step in compassion is always to be compassionate toward yourself. Always. Not because that's nice, but because that's what opens the well. And then compassion is available for others if you can feel it for yourself. So it's not something to be glossed over. So in this meditation, we're going to spend a little time on that. And we're going to begin with just a simple mindfulness, breath awareness meditation. And then I'll guide us through a very brief loving kindness for self practice in the middle. So to begin your practice, sit comfortably and have some notion of sitting up straight. Because just in the uprightness of the posture, or pretending to be upright, if you have back problems, pretending counts, there's a dignity. You automatically flash on your own elegance. Elegance is incompatible with aggression. So relax, soften. Let your shoulders return to their normal place. The face is soft. The mouth is closed because you don't have to talk during meditation, and that is a wonderful luxury. So notice your own silence. There is no one in there talking, actually. And you can fill with that silence. The breath is natural, in and out through the nose. You were already breathing before I mentioned it, so simply continue doing that. The eyes can be closed or open. If open, the gaze is soft and cast down and further emphasizes the quality of wakefulness. Eyes closed, also great. Now, the object of meditation is the breath, but we don't want to notice the breath. We want to feel the breath. That is also a gate to compassion. We're not observing, we're feeling. So feel the gentle expansion of the inhale and the letting go of the exhale. At the end of the exhale, there's a little gap or a rest, if this was music. And from that gap, the next inhale just happens. So the amount of effort required is 0. So just breathing in and out. Your mind will continue to make thoughts, like your heart will continue to beat. It's just what it does. No problem. No need to change that or stop that. Just let that be. And if you notice that you become distracted so that you've forgotten about your breath, excellent, very awake. Just let go and come back. And we'll breathe together for a minute or two. So as you're feeling the breath, add to that the feeling of how hard you are working right now. Feel it. Feel the effort that you're putting into being a good person, helping others, trying to manage the day-to-day, taking care of children, pets, yourself, loved ones. It's a lot to manage and hold, and you are doing your best. You say that with great confidence. So acknowledging yourself, please feel your own goodness, your own longing for a world that works, and wish for yourself the following. May I be safe. I, this one. May I be well, healthy, strong. May I be peaceful. May my world be peaceful. May I live in peace. May I live with ease. May things go easily for me. May I live with ease. And let's add to that one more step. For the people who are listening right now, watching, whether now or in recording, also all of us here, everyone just like you, working, doing their best, striving, meeting challenges, joys, sorrows. So wish for each other, everyone here. May you be safe. May you be well. Feel those wishes emanate from yourself. May you be well. May you be peaceful. Send that wish out and know that countless wishes for your peace come to you at the same time, and you don't have to do anything to receive them. They just come to you. May you be peaceful. May you live with ease. Now let the loving kindness technique go and just resume breath awareness for a minute or so. And I'll let you know when the meditation is over. Just resume feeling the body breathe. to bring your practice to a close, just let the technique go. And you can take a stretch or just enjoy.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Really good question here from Seema. I just divorced before this pandemic, and my now ex-husband has alienated my son from me. So my anger and resentment are 100-fold and eating away at me. Help! Exclamation point.
Yes. Seema, I feel for you. That is rough. And P.S., there's a pandemic. So all of that in a pandemic, very, very hard. So yes, it sounds you have every right to be just enraged. There's no question. So rage blots out everything. So there's very little room to maneuver. So that's the first place we want to start. Very little room. Sorrow, lots of room. Fear, plenty of room. Rage, very little. The only thing that helps me when I am like caught up in it is not to try to stop feeling enraged, because then you're introduced yet another layer of aggression into the situation, and you can't beat yourself up into being more peaceful. I've tried. It does not work. What does seem to help, though, is to continue with the longing to be out of this suffering and to be treated more fairly, and to wish also for all who are being treated unfairly and who are enraged by the way their family is treating them will also be relieved of their suffering. So when you sort of expand the circle to include not just me relieved, me too, but everybody who feels as I do, may they also be relieved, it introduces a note of empowerment into a situation where it can otherwise feel helpless. And I wish you luck.
Nice. Brigitte asks, how can you establish boundaries with a boss who's a bully? How do you manage the anger instead of letting it consume you?
Oh my God, that's such a good question. Yeah, so not easy. Boundaries. I just have very sort of workaday suggestions. Limit exposure. It's your boss, so you can only limit to a certain degree. Somebody once told me this, and I thought, oh, that sounds crazy and woo-woo, and I'm not going to visualize that. But then I tried it in a moment of desperation, and it really helped. And the visualization was, this person is getting all up in my grill, and I don't like it. So I envision this sort of wall coming up from the ground and dividing me from that person. And you could try that if you want. It may or may not be useful to you. I have found that energetically introducing a wall is useful. Now, bullies, very difficult. You can't fight them. They will ramp it up. So the more you can contain your composure, the less likely the bullying is to affect you. I know that may sound obvious, but I don't mean it in the sense like I'm cool, that doesn't bother me. What I mean is, this is something said once by a great Buddhist teacher. I've thought about it many times. And it is, when you do not produce another force of hatred, the opposing force collapses. So the implied advice is, hold your hatred. If you do not produce another force, the opposition is more likely to collapse. Something to think about.
Yeah, I mean, there was another Buddhist teacher, I think his name was the Buddha, who said something along the lines of, hate never ceases through hate, it only ceases through love. And that's, now kind of a cliched set of words to string together, and it's also an inconvenient piece of advice, but it also happens to be true from what I can tell.
Me too. And love doesn't mean being like, babysitting anyone. Doesn't mean being pitying. It means being receptive. That's all. It means opening to and allowing in. Doesn't mean liking. Love is opening.
And sorry to interrupt you. I didn't do that. But love is also omnidirectional, so it also has to be toward you and toward yourself, and you have to protect yourself in these situations So it's tricky. I see that we're out of time, but just in closing, to again say how much I appreciate you and your teaching. That is genuine. So thank you. Really appreciate it.
My pleasure. Thank you for having me.
And just to remind everybody, if you're interested in the 10% Happier app and you happen to be, or you happen to know, a healthcare worker or somebody who works in a warehouse or a teacher or somebody who works in a grocery store, just send them or go yourself, if you're in one of these buckets, to 10%.com/care, 10%.com/care. That's free app access there. And my guest tomorrow will be Sebade Selassie. In the meantime, please stay home and stay safe.